Okay, nice to meet you. Yeah, so quick explanation.
Can you highlight a little bit more what you're expecting?
Yes, yes. I'm now working on the modeling the demand and supply structure for food.
Yes.
And the projection is aiming not later than 2100, maybe 2050 or something like that.
Yes.
And to forecast the demand of food, the future projection of population is very important. So I do want to know in this section how people can forecast the population by country basis. So that's my point. Because in Japan, many people think, oh, United Nations provides a future projection of the population.
Yeah.
That's enough. We just believe that. But I don't like that. I mean, how this section can forecast the population, future change of population. Yeah. And also, if you have any ideas related to the IPCC reports, IPCC provides SRS scenarios, 4 scenarios, and they are providing a future projection of the population in early 90s. But now those data sets are not open to the public. So if you have know something about that.
Okay. Let me clarify first a few fundamental things. The population division of the Department of Economic and Social Affairs, where we are part of, has the mandate to prepare population estimates and projections for all the countries of the world. At the moment, we do that for 230 countries. We have this mandate essentially given to us by the Commission for Population and Development, which is an intergovernmental body which meets every year, and this representatives of the countries of the world have asked us to prepare this data. Our main user actually is the UN Secretariat, which is using our data, and other UN agencies which use our data to calculate their own statistics and their own analysis of various fields. In addition, we also provide the data to the general public, to everyone who wants to use this data. And I think it is important to understand for you that one of our most important tasks is not to project the population of the world or to project the population of individual countries, but to estimate the population and various demographic indicators. So a very significant part of our work is not connected to projecting, but to identifying what is the real situation of a particular country. That is important because at the moment at least 1/3 to maybe even up to 60% of the countries of the world still do not have demographic statistics that are reliable enough to come up with cohort component projections or have a consistent cohort component model for projecting the population. So what we have to do is to collect all kinds of information, demographic information for these countries. This is the first step. So we spend about maybe 50-60% of our work collecting official statistics, but also information from surveys such as the demographic and health surveys, the multi-indicator cluster surveys, and many other surveys to find out what is the real level of fertility and mortality, the current real level of mortality and fertility and population by age and sex, but also what are historical trends. So we try to reconstruct for as many countries as we can the population from 1950 to the present time. Increasingly we do that by following the cohorts from the 1950s up to 2100. So we really look at a cohort, let's say a cohort born in 1950, which was the age group, the first age group 0 to 5, 0 to 4, and then we follow these age groups through different censuses up to the year 2010. And we do that for an increasing number of countries. Now it's more than half of the countries where we can do that, but we have the information available. But as you can imagine, this requires that we at least have population by 5-year age groups from censuses for more than 1 year, for more than one period. So if we have this information for several censuses, we can follow these cohorts by using the available information on fertility and mortality and migration, of course. So this is the first component of our work, to come up with a consistent estimate of the current situation and the past situation. And this is also what distinguishes us from many other of the projections that are done, because many other people are doing projections, or many other groups are doing projections, but to my knowledge, very few people are trying to reconstruct the history, the population history, for this large number of countries. So once we have completed this population reconstruction, we then do projections. We use a standard cohort component projection at the moment. We use a relative simple model for projecting fertility and mortality, actually life expectancy, which is based on double logistic curve. With the 2010 revision, we will introduce a probabilistic component into our projections. So we have now, we will project the total fertility based on a Bayesian hierarchical model, and we will use the median of these fertility projections, which are many, many trajectories. We will use the median to replace our median variant. So since we try to incorporate stochastic probabilistic elements in our projections to get a better understanding of the uncertainty, we do that in a stepwise process, in a stepwise procedure. We first start with the fertility. Maybe in later revisions we will also project mortality in a stochastic, in a probabilistic way. But for the moment we do that. We replace our median variant with a median of a large number of stochastic or probabilistic projections, fertility projections. This is new, in fact, for the 2010 revision. And what is also new, we will go to 2100. Because we are coming closer to 2050 already, we are now already 2010. So our task here is demographic only. We are not involved in any substantive analysis of the consequences for food supply or climate change or any other of these things. Our mission, if you want, is to come up with the best possible estimation of the current situation for these 230 countries and their history, and a realistic, plausible projection for the next now 90 years. And we do that every 2 years because increasingly we have empirical information, especially from surveys, which is coming up in the meantime between the revisions. So we have maybe 2 or 3 or 4 new DHS surveys which we can incorporate into our estimates, which gives us a better estimation of the fertility and the mortality, for instance, or also migration, new information about migration flows and so on. With the 2010 census round, we will have in this revision, of course, obviously not, we will not be able to use the results from the 2010 census round for most of the countries. There may be a few countries which have already done this and have published early head counts. I don't know. My colleagues are more familiar with this. We might discuss this in detail. But probably within the next revision, and certainly the 2016 revision, we will be able to incorporate all the results from the 2010 census round. So let me summarize this. A big component of our work is to fine adjust our estimates as much as we can with each revision. Because one of the biggest factors for uncertainty in the future of population growth is actually the current level of fertility and mortality, and actually the current level of the population by age and sex, or the current population by age and sex. If we make errors here in the starting level, then the projections can be very significant in the future. The errors can be very significant in the future. And in fact, with almost every revision, at least the ones where I have been in charge, we have seen that the estimates have been corrected for a number of countries very, very significantly.
Okay, thank you for your comments.
Yeah.